Hello everybody, it's Mike once again here at the studio of Paterson Photography and First Choice Photo. So, this past weekend I had a chance to get out and do some photography. It was so nice to get out. But when I went out to do some pictures, I didn't want to do just regular pictures, so I decided that I would do some longer exposure photography. Now, just about anyone can do this with just about any camera. You don't need a special camera. You even don't need a lot of special accessories. The two things that you do need is a camera, obviously, and a tripod. Now, how do you do it if you don't have a lot of equipment, a lot of accessories and such? Well, you go out there when it's darker. So you go out there early in the morning before sunrise or just at sunrise, or you go out in the evening just before sunset or just after sunset. You can also do this overnight. I've taken a lot of groups to Waterton and we photographed Cameron Falls late at night and even into the early morning and showed motion such there with long exposures. But if you don't want to do all that, if you don't want to go out late or early, you can do it during the day. So how do you do this? Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to set your ISO as low as possible. On my camera, all my cameras, the lowest is 100 ISO. Then you want to set your aperture to the highest number that's possible, so it lets in the least amount of light. Then you figure out from there what your shutter speed is going to be. A lot of times your shutter speed is not going to be slow enough if it's during the bright day. So then what you do is you get what's called a neutral density filter. What this is pretty much a pair of sunglasses for your camera. The neutral density filter goes on the front of the lens. It reduces the amount of light that then can come through the lens, and your shutter speed will be longer. When I was shooting, I wanted to get something down to 1 or 2 minutes, so I put this on and I went to take a picture and I found it was about a minute, minute and a half. So then I just so happened to also have some extra polarizing filters, which basically they're a filter that you don't use for this, but they are darker, so I just threw on a couple of those. Now what did they do? They also helped to darken the image. That got my shutter speed down to about 2 to 2.5 minutes. By doing this, I was able to show motion in the clouds. Now, like most times when we take pictures, all the planning that we have is for not if Mother Nature doesn't want to cooperate. And I was taking a picture right at last weekend down at Police Lake of Chief Mountain. The clouds were perfect. There were scattered clouds. As soon as I got everything set up, the clouds got thicker and thicker and thicker, and it showed the motion, but not as much as what I wanted it to show. So I'll just have to go back down another day and do it again. Okay, so a few tricks to using a neutral density filter. You're going to notice a few things happen when you use a neutral density filter. First, with the long exposure, you're going to notice that any camera shake whatsoever will ruin the picture. So go out and get yourself a really good, sturdy tripod. Doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be carbon fiber, doesn't have to be anything ridiculous, just something that's sturdy and that will hold the camera still. I have an old steel tripod that works wonderful for this. It's heavy, but when it's all locked together and put up, it'll stay still, and even the slightest breeze, it'll keep it nice. Stronger breezes, well, pretty much nothing will hold it in a strong breeze, but it's a good tripod for that. Second thing is when you're shooting with the filter, you're going to notice a couple things that will happen with your images. The first thing is you're going to notice a color cast to your images. Why? Because the filter you're putting on will add a little bit of color to the image. Even the most expensive filters out there that are neutral density, you'll notice a color shift to the file. So what you should do is take a picture and then set your custom white balance on your camera to that image. That will eliminate the color cast that you're seeing because of the filter. The second thing you're going to notice is you're going to notice hot pixels. So if you take a picture of a black sky, say, with no stars in it, and for a long exposure time, you're going to notice pixels that will start to glow red or white or even yellow. This is called a hot pixel. There's nothing that you can do about it other than you have to either Photoshop it when you're done to get rid of them, or you can use on your camera the long exposure noise reduction, and that will take care of the hot pixels. What it does is when you take a picture, it will take the image. It will then take a second image without the shutter being open. It'll find the hot pixels, and then it will get rid of the hot pixels on the image that you just took. The drawback and the problem to this is every time you do that, it has to take an equally long black image. So if you want to shoot 500 images at 2 minutes, it'll take another 500 images at 2 minutes to reduce the noise on the images that you've taken. So to get around this, what you can do is you take what's called a dark frame. So you either cover the lens or you do something so that the camera is completely dark, and you take an image for the same amount of time that you've been taking the other images. You then come in and you use a program like Photoshop, or you can use other different programs out there that will get rid of the hot pixels on all the images that you shot that day. The benefit being is you can do this back in when you're at home or in the studio in my case, and it will work on all the images at once. Saves a lot of time out in the field, especially if the weather's not the nicest, and you're able to continue on with shooting. Now, do you have to do that? No. The pixels are noticeable, but they're not that noticeable on most pictures. So whether you want to do it or not, that's up to you. If you do get an image that you really want printed, I can always Photoshop them out, or you can Photoshop them out before you bring the image in for printing. So the next time you're going out, make sure you take along a tripod and a neutral density filter and do some long exposure photography. It'll get you some different looks to your pictures, and it is a lot of fun. So stay safe, have fun taking pictures, and we'll talk to you soon.